All of us are here for the same reason. We want to become profitable traders. Not traders who get lucky once in a while, not traders who have one good month and then give it all back. Traders who can sit down, do their job, and know that over time their account will grow. Now that outcome feels complex. It feels a little bit far-fetched when you're in the middle of it, but at its core, it depends on only two skills: your ability to execute a trade and your ability to wait for the next execution. And everything that we do on my YouTube and my course in this bootcamp builds around these two abilities. And if you master them, your progress can move very quickly. But if you do not, you can spend years feeling like you were stuck at the starting line no matter how much you study. And so when you think about executing a trade, do not reduce it to just clicking a button. Execution, it does include identifying direction, selecting your setup, choosing the entry and the stop, placing the order, and managing the position according to a plan. It is a complete action from this is my setup, this trade is finished. Now, waiting for the next execution sounds simple, but it is where every single serious mistake happens. The waiting periods are the long stretches between valid trades, and they are where your mind starts to look for trouble. You see price move without you, and you feel tempted to jump in, and you replay what could have been, and you scroll social media, and you see other people catching moves, and you start to question your rules, your timing, and even your strategy. And so instead of waiting, you begin to adjust. You try new things in the middle of a live environment. You add indicators because you feel uncertain. You remove rules that feel a bit too restrictive, and you convince yourself that if you had broken your plan here or there, you would have caught a move that would have netted you some profit. And the problem is that you build habits around reacting to what you just saw instead of following what you know. And now all of this happens while you wait for the next trade. Very few catastrophic mistakes happen during the very few seconds it takes to click the button. Almost all of them are born in that space between your trades when nothing is happening on your screen and your mind is trying to fill the gap to feel busy. Now, the reason this is such a critical point is that uncertainty lives inside that gap. You do not yet have enough proof that your strategy works. You do not yet have the sample size. You do not yet have enough data to fully trust your edge. You want certainty now, but the only way to gain it is to let your strategy play out over a meaningful number of trades. Now, if you do not wait for that process, you will never see the real performance of your system. You keep interrupting it, you keep changing it, you keep restarting just when you were close to gaining evidence. And as a result, you never develop that true confidence that we're all after, and the cycle will repeat. And this is why all psychological patterns that matter for trading cluster around the waiting to execute skill. Impatience over trading, fear of missing out, revenge trading, hesitation, boredom trading, second-guessing exits, and moving stops all happen because the trader has not learned how to exist inside of that waiting space without interfering. Now, you cannot train this properly in a backtest. Backtesting has its uses, but it compresses time. You move through months of data in minutes, and you never feel what it's like to sit there with nothing to do and still keep your standards. You do not experience the slow pace of real markets, and you do not experience the small internal reactions that appear when you watch price form bar by bar. And for that reason, this course, my YouTube, everything, anchors your psychological trading in the live market. You will begin with very small risk, often so small that a full loss barely matters to your account. You might start with paper execution on TradingView or a similar platform so you can build the mechanical habit of spotting and tagging trades. Then you will move into micro lots with real money. As your stability increases, lot size can scale slowly and deliberately. Now, the live environment is the only place where your reactions show up in a way that matters. The chart moves when it wants. You cannot skip forward through time. You cannot simulate the feeling of watching your trade sit near your stop for 30 minutes. You either learn to handle those moments or you do not, and that is why all of our trading occurs there. And when you accept that 99% of trading is waiting, everything becomes simpler. Your work is to not be in a trade all the time. Your work is to be ready, patient, and clear when your trade appears, and relaxed and disciplined when it does not. Profitable traders tend to share this one trait. They know how to wait without sabotaging themselves. Unprofitable traders do not. Mastering this is one of the few real edges available to you. However, you cannot wait properly if you are not clear on what you are waiting for. Waiting without structure is just sitting in uncertainty. And this is where your strategy becomes essential. And your strategy defines what execution means. It answers questions like, in which direction are you allowed to trade right now? Under what conditions is a trade valid? Where exactly do you enter? Where do you place your stop? Where and how do you exit? And so the physical act of placing a trade may take 5 seconds. Deciding whether that trade matches your rules can take much longer. And waiting for that exact setup to appear can take hours or days. That does not make the execution part less important. It shows you that the quality of those 5 seconds depends on everything that comes before them. And so inside what we're doing here, we will frame your strategy around 3 core components: direction, entry, and exit. Direction tells you whether you want to be a buyer or seller in the current environment. Entry defines the exact conditions where you are permitted to take risk. And exit specifies under what circumstances you leave the trade, whether in profit or loss. When you know these three with precision, you can look at a chart and say with confidence, there's a trade here or there's nothing here for me. And so to build these components, we need a clear understanding of market structure, not the loose pattern-focused version that most retail traders use. That version often reduces the market to simple shapes and textbook diagrams that ignore how real order flows through the system. And that's why most retail traders lose money. So copying their approach directly makes little sense. Instead, we will take an institutional view and talk about liquidity the way professional participants think about it. Institutions care about where order sits, where stops accumulate, and where they can fill size without moving the market against themselves. And so price movement often reflects that search for liquidity. And so by understanding where liquidity likely rests and how price tends to move toward and through those areas, you can read market structure with much more intent. You stop seeing random swings and start seeing organized activity that you can work with. This does not mean predicting every move. It just means aligning with how the larger players need to operate so that your strategy fits the real conditions of the market. And like any solid progression, we will not start in the middle or start at the end. We begin at square one. First, we build how you see the market, structure, liquidity, and direction. Then we define the rules that tell you exactly what a valid trade looks like. Then we train execution. Then we train waiting in a real time, real charts, and gradually increasing size. And so your long-term profitability depends on the pieces working together. You learn what to execute, you learn how to execute it, and you learn how to wait without tearing your work apart. And once those things are in place, everything else becomes that much easier to manage.